What's up, MTG Tribe? Have you ever bought a breakout above a base high only to see the price go up for a few minutes, then reverse and sell off sharply over the next 1 to 3 days? Well, we all have when learning how to trade. But if you stick around, I'll show you a few tips to help avoid false breakouts and improve the odds of your next breakout entry working. My name is Rick Petticelli, and I've been trading for over 20 years. If you're ready to stop chasing and start operating from a position of strength, hit that like button and subscribe. So let's dive right in. So obviously, if you've been trading for some time, you've all been in a false breakout. They suck. It's tough to avoid them altogether. Sometimes we're forced to buy a little bit later than we'd like if we didn't see the setup properly at first, and then it becomes quite obvious to us that a certain stock we like is taking off. Well, at that point, we decide to go in. It's a little bit of a chase, but not too much. It's understandable. If you really like the stock, you don't want to miss it. However, there are a few things that we can do to help improve the odds that the next breakout we buy is one that will work or have better odds of working. So, for example, we have the daily chart of CCJ here. And, for anyone who's been trading for a while, the first thing you learn is to buy the base breakout, generally speaking. And, there's momentum here from this big thrust up, and you get this breakout on the open, and it goes up quite a bit, and then it reverses lower and gets crushed for the next day, during the day of the false breakout, and then gaps lower, undercuts some lows here in the moving averages, and then reverses. So when we're looking at a chart, if you're looking at a potential breakout and it doesn't have a false breakout already in place, that could be a reason to be a bit cautious on the breakout. And as we can see with CCJ, there was this false breakout here was the first attempt to break out. One thing that can help improve the chances of surviving the next shakeout is to wait for that nasty reversal and then buy at support or when it starts to push higher after a bottom is in. Now, we don't know for sure if a bottom's in, but if there is a reversal candle and the price is able to push back through the moving averages and hold, that would be the lower risk entry point. That way you could enter closer to the 77 area and be able to survive the false breakouts here. And now that we've seen the false breakout here and the shakeout, the prices come back up a few times, failed to move out. Now you have 2 to 3 false breakouts in here. This next breakout, it's coming from a higher low above the moving averages, has a pretty good shot of working out. The price action is still volatile, but as you can see, it's pulling back to the base high now and holding, and we're not seeing a nasty shakeout down below the moving averages. Another stock that had quite a few shakeouts along the way leading to a recent breakout is RKLB. And we got caught in a false breakout also in this one, but we were able to re-enter down the road. And we're still long RKLB in our swing trading newsletter, the Wagner Daily. And our initial entry was after the shakeout that we spoke about. So we had this kind of like false breakout here and here. We had a nasty shakeout. We didn't get in on this day right here, but after the 2 to 3 days of tight action here, or 2 days, we bought back in around 48.30. Price went higher, reversed lower. We put in a fairly tight stop as we didn't want to sit through another shakeout. But the price did pull back, but it did stay above this prior swing low. So it's constructive in that it's putting in higher lows. There was another failed breakout attempt here, and then there's another nasty shakeout. So one could have been long from this area and still been shaken out. So now you have several false breakouts and shakeouts, and the price action tightens up here, and finally we take off, and it's gone. So this first breakout attempt above the highs didn't go, and we've seen that before. The second attempt didn't go, but the third attempt went. And like I said earlier, you can't always know that there's going to be a false breakout. But when we bought here, there were no real false breakouts. There was some shakeouts though, right here, but there was no attempt to break out above a high. But after we have 1 or 2 of them, then the odds start to increase for the next breakout to work, or then there's something wrong with the stock. And our next chart up is MP. And MP recently had a false breakout right here and had a few stalls at the 78 area. So the price action's pretty constructive in this base, and we have a lot of tight closing action here off the lows. It's just a little bit wild off the high. So if one was positioned from a break of this downtrend line, they're still able to survive the shakeout. If one have entered around the 69 area, then you could survive these two failed attempts here. But if the price actually could tighten up in this area and then head higher again, this might be the one that goes after we've had this one false breakout here, and then we've had these two stalls in this area. This next breakout could be the one that works. And our last chart is going to be a PLTR. We basically have like a cup, and you have the little handle here. So there was a breakout attempt of the handle, failed. Closed above the handle high. The next day, there was just a nasty shakeout. We were already long Palantir from around the 179 area. And once we saw the false breakout action, we decided to stop ourselves out beneath the low of the day of the failed breakout, which is also something you can do if you're buying a little bit higher up in price or not near a moving average, and you feel a bit vulnerable. You can just go with a really tight stop beneath the low of the breakout day, not give back too much. What you want to avoid is just riding this thing all the way down beneath the prior low and then having it rip right back up. However, now that we have one failed breakout and it looks like another failed attempt on Thursday, Palantir could be ready to push out on the next breakout attempt. So just a quick recap of what we've covered here. It's tough to avoid false breakouts altogether, but if you happen to buy a little bit higher, you want to go with a pretty tight stop so you can just get out and re-enter. You want to avoid buying late and then riding the false breakout all the way down to the prior low, which in this market, from what we've seen, once a stock is in sell-off mode that day, it won't stop. It'll just keep on going down, especially if it's a stock that there's a lot of eyes on it. So ideally, we want to position ourselves in a stock from a position of strength, which is closer to a swing low near moving averages where the price action is tightened up or there's some sort of shakeout with a reversal candle. So that's step one. We want to enter. You want to have low risk entry points so you can survive the false breakouts. Now, buying a breakout without a prior false breakout in place may or may not work, but if there's no false breakout there, then maybe you want to be on high alert that the current breakout could become the false breakout. Once you see one or two false breakouts, the next breakout should be the one that works. If not, then it's possible that this stock has some issues and it may not go. Well, that's a wrap for this video. Make sure to drop a comment below with your thoughts on buying weakness versus chasing breakouts. I want to hear your experiences with both approaches. Remember, MTG Tribe, in trading, patience beats FOMO every single time. Keep learning, keep growing, and always trade with discipline. Until next time, trade what you see, not what you think.